Right then, so first things first, before we actually get into it, I noticed this when I was watching the last video. Message vector here, we would be literally deleting the message vector right before we sent it out. We're actually clearing M messages because that's where we keep all of our messages, and we want to clear it up so that it can be refilled later. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, last time I was here, I showed you guys how to make a very simple messaging system, and today I will be showing you how to I'll be showing you how to implement that messaging system into your code. So, first off, in the design video, I talked about dislocating the player from the gun and the gun from the bullets. Now, I was going to do that, except if we pop into bullet here, the bullet doesn't actually... The bullet just does one thing, as it should. It updates itself and it collides with targets and the world. And the thing is if we were to dislocate the bullet from the gun, we would have to make a class to handle all of the bullets, like spawning bullets and despawning bullets and such. Or we would have to make each bullet have the code to do that, and that's really just a recipe for disaster. So for now, we won't touch bullet, and instead we'll do the simpler task of simply disconnecting the player from the gun. And if you took my advice and watched Making Games with Ben, then your code will look very similar to this, but it will be slightly different. As you can see, this is called tower defense, not called main game, where your code would probably be. And I've made a few other changes, but this should work for any sort of code. Not the exact code that I'm going to be using, however the concepts that I'm going to be using to implement my code should be applicable to any coding style where you're attempting to insert a messaging system into a current set of code. So, we'll start here in the player class. The player class is really just... It's not so much a character as it is just the way that the player... It's more of an interface class than anything else. It interfaces with the game. So I've put comments here telling us what we're doing, like add gun adds a gun to our character. We no longer need this because the gun will be held in the main game portion. So add gun is a superfluous function, because since all the guns will be in the main game portion, then we don't need to add guns to the character. So really, I'm just going to delete this. Oh, also, before you start any changes, like any major changes, you should probably check to see that your stuff is working. Because if your stuff isn't working, you don't really have any way to test whether or not the changes you're going to make are working. So, boop-a-doo. Here we are. You don't see any of my stuff because I'm not in game mode. This is sort of a miniature building thing that I made. I can zoom in and out. There's the music kicking in. But yeah, no. Then I can hit L and go into the actual mode, where I can walk around and stuff. Oh! And get hit by a zombie immediately. Also, I recolored the zombies so they were easier to see on the green background when I was... And I am... So we know our game works. And you should have some sort of either version control or just a copy of your solution before you make all your changes, in case it turns out that the changes you're about to make completely wreck it. So make sure to make a copy of the whole thing, or have version control. I've never actually gotten into version control. It's probably something I should do. But for now, I have a copy of this. So, for the initialize function, we have this little reference to bullets. We don't need that anymore. We don't need add gun anymore. We don't need a list of guns anymore because the player class will no longer be holding a list of guns. We do need the current gun index because that's which gun the player is going to be using, and the player does need to know that. Otherwise, when it sends the fire command, then it wouldn't know which gun to fire. There are multiple guns, by the way, in this game. And then we have this here pointer to a list of bullets, and we don't need to know about the bullets because the player isn't going to be doing anything with the bullets. So we pop over into here. Here we see that bullets is equal to bullets. Gun pushback. We don't need this entire function. We don't need the add gun function. And then we just pop in here. Make sure that here's the code for changing the gun index. If we push 1, 2, and 3, we change gun 0, 1, 2. And then getting the mouse coordinates, the inputs, stuff like that. Finding where the mouse is. And then right here, this handles calling the gun to fire. Replace this with a message to the gun system giving the player's current position and the direction of fire. So currently we call the update function for the gun from here. We're going to move this update function and probably change it in the actual gun class so that it can be in the main class, and it will just check for messages. And then this will just, if the left button is pressed, just like these, then it will send off a message giving it the center position and the direction. And then those two vectors will be used to fire a bullet because the gun is essentially the bullet handler. Yeah, it turns out the guns and bullets are inseparable without creating a superfluous class that would handle the spawning of bullets. So we'll just let the gun handle the bullets. Essentially think of the gun as the bullet handler class. That also happens to have things... Actually, really all of it is about the bullets. So really, a gun is just a bullet handler. I guess that's true in real life as well. And then we have... We don't actually really need to do gun very much, anything much in gun. All we really have to do is set this so that when it calls fire, it acts on... Actually, it already acts on the list of bullets in here because right here is the actual list of bullets. So we don't even really have to touch the fired thing. All we have to do is go up in here and change it so that instead of is mouse down, instead of this, we just we go through we check the messages to see if there are any messages, and if there are messages, then we fire. So we could probably change this if statement into a for loop for 4 message size. So let me just pause and properly think out. Actually, no, I won't pause while I think out what we need to do. So we're going to remove add gun. We're going to remove the reference to bullets in the initialize function. We're going to remove this list of guns. And we're going to remove this list of bullets. From there, and then we pop in here and scroll up. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this entirely. It's greater than... Oh, okay, so here, if the key is like if the gun size, so this stops us from, like if we hadn't implemented in the main game function a gun with like this number, then it wouldn't fire. So that's just a little check that we made. We won't be needing that really because if the gun isn't there, like if the gun, we'll just have to make sure we remember that. Doop. Okay, so this has to be replaced with a message. Okay, so we don't need to include bullet anymore. We do need to include our messenger. I put mine in the otherwise domain. Messaging. Okay. So we'll stick it in private. Vector message. Oh, it's make sure to use your namespaces. Not vector message. In the player class, we just need a sender. A vector sender, I guess is what I called it. Message sender. And then in gun, we will put... Actually, we should probably put this in the public space because the listener has to reference it. And also, I have no idea what I'm doing, so... Also, if you were expecting this to be like, oh, I'm informative, oh, I'm going to tell you how to do this. Nope. I am just as lost as you guys are. And I'm literally just waving my dick here in the ether trying to get stuff done. Which, from what I hear, is pretty much how all programming goes. I mean, sure, you have fundamentals and stuff, but after that, it's all dick waving. Wise vector listener. M listener. Okay. So we need to remove is mouse down from this. A reference to position and a reference to direction. Actually, we don't need those either because we're going to be getting both of those things from the message. So yeah. And fire is also going to be getting those things from the message, but we won't have fire access the message. We'll just have, so we'll actually pass in reference to direction and position into the fire. But in the update function, we will actually access the stuff. So into here, into update, remove all the stuff we don't need. We don't need to know if the mouse is down. So all we need to know is if the frame counter is less than the fire rate. We need to check the messages. Yeah, I guess check all the messages and only put in the last one. And then obviously put the frame rate back down to 0. So, because since we'll just be doing the last one, it means that if, for example, like I'm holding left click somewhere and it sends, I don't know, 4 or 5 frames of messages, but it's not ready to fire yet, it will only check the last message and then discard all the rest. So, update's fine. We have the M listener. This. We need to pretty much get rid of all of this, except this whole thing. So might as well just copy this. If current gun index is not equal to 1, and the input manager is key down SDL underscore button underscore left. There we go. So if the left mouse button is down and the current gun index is not equal to -1, which is the default thing, meaning that no gun has been implemented. I guess that would also, we should probably check to see, current gun index equal to 0. Unless we do that in here and I just forgot. We set it to -1 there. So, we should set it to 0 there. Just because we're probably always going to have at least one gun. Because where do we set it to 0 if we do have a gun? Because if it's set to -1 and we try to fire, then it won't work. But it does work right away. Okay, we can just get rid of this. Probably better to sender message sender dot send message. Now what were we sending again? 4 floats. So, oh yeah, and it was x1, y1, x2, y2. So it's the center position and then the direction. Center position dot x, center position dot y, m underscore direction dot x, m underscore direction dot y. And then we can just get rid of this. Turn my caps lock off. So there, we're sending these 4 floats if we have a gun, and if that, I bet you add gun changed it. So let's just set this to 0 just to make our life easier, because we know we're going to implement a gun, but if we forget, it'll probably throw an error. Probably. Don't you just love probablys? But for now, we won't worry about it, because brute force over elegance until it works, and then you can come back and be elegant. In fact, I should probably put a little comment here that says set up an error for if we forget to implement a gun. You know, when we're next looking through this. So we have the gun, and we have update, and we have the M listener. So direction, position. So M listener dot get message. It returns a vector of floats. So std. No, not std. I think it's just vector. No, it's float. Fire positions equal to mlisteners dot get message, and then fire, and what does this take? It takes 2 references to a direction and whatever, so I guess we'll just translate them. Vec2 direction GLM Vec2 position, just to make fire happy there so we don't have to change anything, and direction dot x is equal to direction dot y, and then position dot x y. So we have to remember what order we put them in this player class. We put them in position, position, direction, direction. Because the sender class doesn't care what order you put them in, but the gun class does. Which I guess is sort of an error. Maybe we should put like some sort of identifier to tell us what it is. But for now, we'll just have to remember. So it was position, position, direction, direction. Position, position, direction, direction. Okay. So position, position, direction, direction. So it was direction Y, so it would be fire positions dot and then in here it would be fire positions dot size -1 or -2. Four, 3, 2. I'm going to have to double check this. Okay, so I was right. There is an element at the very end of a vector, so -1 is the last element, -2 is the second last, etc., etc. So position, position, direction, direction, and then we use fire. So that's not screaming at us to do anything. Good. So we'll pop in here. I believe that guns was in a vector std vector gun. Yep. M underscore guns. So pop over to here and slide up here. What's this? Oh, yep, we don't need that anymore. And void human add gun? What? Can humans add guns? Let's see. Players, characters, human. Update, add gun. Wow, it does. A human can add a gun. I mean, we're not going to be doing that, so. M underscore guns dot pushback. This, I guess. That's weird. We should be able to do this. More double checking is needed. Alright, here's a neat little thing. Instead of pushing back, we can instead emplace back and see how that goes. And we can remove this and instead give it this. And that should construct a gun. Yes. And that should construct a gun in the vector. But, I mean, if this doesn't work out, I can always just pop back over to the old version where everything was working and try again. Okay, we've emplaced back some guns. Now we have guns and we have the player. So now we need to make the guns. Do we need to make all the guns listen to the player? I guess we do. Okay, so we'll stick it in a for loop right here. For unsigned int for m underscore guns dot size with brackets m underscore guns I dot m listener dot listen to sender m underscore player dot m underscore player is a thing, right? Maybe not dot, maybe it's a, there we are. Dot message sender. I believe it's a reference to the M player's message sender. So that should allow the guns, all the guns, to listen to the message sender in mPlayer. So whenever the player updates, if the left key is down, then it will send a message with the center positions and M directions to, let's just pop into the vector sender and make sure everything there is working. Well, everything there looks like it should be working. Okay, construct a new message, send, have the listeners receive the message. We don't actually send the message. The M listeners take the message from us. And then receive listener. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. So we need to have them receive the listener. What is a vector listener? Oh, listen to sender makes the sender receive the listener. Okay, that's a bit of a weird way to go about it. Sure, why not? And then get message, receive message. Okay, it looks like everything should work. It's not going to, but it looks like it should. Go through it, make sure everything looks like it should work. I'm probably missing something. And message is clear. And message is pushed back. Okay. Let's hit it. Punch it, Chewie. And if it works like we think it will, that's great. Nope. Errors. Get message, non-standard syntax. This is in gun. Fire position is equal to mmessengers dot get message. And there was a syntax. Non-standard syntax, use and to create a pointer to a member. Oh, get message is a function. Let's try that again. Okay, let's see if it blows up in our face the moment anything happens. Yep, it's not firing. Not firing. Oh, wait. Nope, not firing at all. Okay. Well, I'm going to pause this, and we will see what happened. Alright, found the bug. We forgot to update the guns. And if the guns don't update, the guns don't fire. So, I've scrolled down here into the run function. Run. And then, yeah, we start up the random engine, blah, blah, blah. We get the inputs. Then we update humans, update zombies, zombie collisions, colliding with stuff. And then down here we update the bullets colliding with the world. So I figure between humans and bullets, we can update the guns. So for m_guns.size, we can do m_guns i.update. Do the guns need something when they are updating? Update. Oh, it needs a reference to bullets and delta time. Okay. I mean, bullets is easy. m_bullets. And delta time is just delta time. Boom. Alright. Let's see if this works. It's probably not going to work, but hey. Pop into tower defense mode. And we threw an error. Where'd we throw an error? Here. Okay. Bullets size equals 0. Okay, if bullet size is equal to 0, then what? Don't we spawn a bullet? Yeah, we got direction. We got a valid position. Gun update bullet allocation and bullets delta time line 45. Why is this throwing this error at me? So yeah, it said fire, so we hit this line. So yeah, we did because the break is down here. But the moment we hit fire, something happened. Bullets. Can we go forward? Next statement. Next statement. Step into. Pass exception to no. Exception thrown. Access violation reading. I believe that's a blank area. So we're stepping into a fire command. That's weird. That position is very small. Okay. Direction, position, and a reference to a vector of bullets. Which, oh wait, that's... I didn't pass a reference. Let's just stop this. And let's pass a reference here. Oh. Shift, not enter. Okay, so the first part of our problem is that we have auto fire on. Every time it updates, it automatically fires if this happens, regardless of whether or not we're holding down left click. Because even though the left click will send the message doesn't actually need to be there in order for it to fire. So we need to make it so that this won't fire unless it has a message to fire from. So we could probably just put it in here. So, and m listener dot receive message, listen to sender, get message. See this. Maybe if I don't want that to be created every time we call update. So perhaps we need to pop into messaging. Open up this, pop into messaging.h. Okay, so pop into listener, pop into public. Bool, is there a message? Boop. and then I will use create definition. Excellent. So we'll just go if messages dot size is greater than 0, turn true. Otherwise, return false. And then we pop over into here. No, that's tower defense, into here. And mListener dot is there a message? There we go. If there is a message, then we will get the message and fire. So let's see if this works. Oh, nope, there's a problem. Unresolved external. Public bool this call. Is there a message? Void. Is there a message? Vector to listener. Otherwise, blah blah blah. What? Do vector sender listener. Is there a message? Seems reasonable. I don't see where I went wrong, though you guys are probably screaming at me that I did something stupid. Unresolved externals are just something that I forget the exact definition, but it happened in the gun object. Update. Dot is there a message? And when it called is there a message, it should just return. God damn it all. Alright, so I found out the problem. The problem was Visual Studio was being a little bitch. I rebuilt everything. I didn't change any of the code. So now we have this fun little thing. So we pop into here, and yay, we can hold fire. To figure out those things. So first off, we need to make it so that we only fire one gun at a time. Right now, our messages go out to all 3 guns at the same time, and we only want them to go out to one gun. So we pop in here. I put a little test in there. So see, this says send message. But we only want to send message to certain listeners. Well, actually, I guess we can just have them listen or not listen. So we can pop into here, or stay in here, and have this change who's listening, maybe? Alright, so we're going to have to make a little change in the messaging system. So in Vector Sender, we're going to make a second version of the send message function, because our current send message function sends the message to everybody. And so this time we're going to create declaration. Yep, there we are. So we're going to create a second one that, instead of sending it to all of them, sends it only to one of them. And we're going to make this an if statement. If listener is less than listeners dot size, and listener is greater than -1. Let's go greater than or equal to 0. Oh, not that. Then it sends a message to listener. Yeah, that just Visual Studio being dumb. So yeah, here we are. So now this only sends a message to one listener. So let's pop over to player and let's do this, and then underscore current gun index. So yeah, now we're only sending message to our current gun index. So let's do that. Oh. No, what error did we have? 0? Unresolved? Nah, okay. I had this last time. It says there's an unresolved thing because it hasn't updated everything, so you just build it and ta-da, and then you hit it. Ta-da. Alright. L. Now double. In here. So yeah, the entire time that this left button is down, it's registering this a whole bunch, like every frame. Let's say pop into gun and is their message. So, let's remove all the messages between fires. So pop in here, and let's say void kill messages. Let's create a definition. Visual Studio has stopped working. God damn. Back in. Kill messages. Create a definition. messages dot. Oh, that's in the sender. Don't need it in the sender. I need it in the listener. It's just X. Kill messages. Awesome. messages dot clear. And that will kill all the messages. So if we go into gun and we go into here, make a little else statement and go listener dot kill messages. So that means that if the fire rate, if we click but the fire rate hasn't reset, then it will kill the messages, meaning that we shouldn't have that double fire thing happen. Oh God, no. No. I need to set this to rebuild everything whenever I hit this debugger button, the play button. Yeah, okay, let's go. Delightful. Boop. Delightful. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go over what we learned. Well, what we did. So when in doubt, if you need a new function, make a new function. And clearly find where you need to put your messages and where you want to use them. Don't be afraid to make little test things like this. And hopefully, I'll think of more things to say. I did not think of more things to say. This has been Earth.Otherwise. This has been integrating your messaging system into your code. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.